piano people. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to memorize every chord or triad of a major key. We're going to do this in just 2 simple steps. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to memorize the triads and also how to play them. Welcome to Ashley Young Music Studio, where you are going to learn how to practice smarter, not harder. Let's dive in. Step 1 is to find all of the triads of a major key. And the great news is that every single major key is going to follow the exact same pattern. So once you know how to do this for one key, you can do it for all of the other major keys. To do this, we're going to pick a major key and play the scale. We're going to start with C major because that's easy. So the C major scale is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And as a little side note, if you don't know your major scales, I have a video that's all about how to memorize every single major scale. And so I will put that link in the description so that after this video, you can check that one out so that you'll be unstoppable with scales and chords. Now, once we have our major scale, we're going to build a triad, which is a 3-note chord on each scale degree. Now, the cool thing is that if you follow the key signature, you're going to end up with all of the triads of the major key. So in the key of C major, there's no sharps and no flats. And so when we build a triad on the first scale degree, the C, this is our 1 chord, the chord that is on the first scale degree, okay? And in any major key, the 1 chord is always major. The chord that is built on the second scale degree, as long as we follow our key signature, is called the 2 chord. And in any major key, the 2 chord is always minor. The chord that's built on the 3rd scale degree is called the 3 chord, and it's always minor. The chord that's built on the 4th scale degree is called the 4 chord, and it's always major. The chord that's built on the 5th scale degree is called the 5 chord, and it's always major as well. The chord that's built on the 6th scale degree is the 6 chord, and it's always minor. And then the chord that's built on the 7th scale degree is called the 7th chord, and it's always diminished. As another side note, if you don't know what a diminished chord is, I have another video on that I will also link in the description. Then we go back to our 1 chord, which is of course always major. Now, like I said in the beginning, the best thing is that every single major scale follows this pattern with the triads. So let's do one more. So the notes of the G major scale are G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. Now, as we build the triads, we have to follow the key signature, which means if they're sharps or flats, it's a little trickier because we have to remember this F sharp. So any of the triads that have an F in them are actually going to have an F sharp in them. So the 1 chord built on the 1st scale degree is major. The 2 chord built on the 2nd scale degree is minor. The 3 chord built on the 3rd scale degree with that F sharp in it is minor. The 4 chord is major. The 5 chord is major. The 6 chord is minor. And the 7 chord is diminished back to the 1 chord, which is major. So you can see that inside my triads, if there was an F, I was playing the F sharp, and that's true with any scale. Whatever is in the key signature also applies to the triads in addition to the scale. Okay, so now that you know how to find all of the triads of a major key, let's talk about how to memorize them. But first, if you love learning about patterns in music to make your musical journey a little bit shorter and a little bit faster, you are going to love a free sight reading workshop that I taught a few months ago. I have a replay of this workshop available totally for free, where you will learn the 3 simple steps to sight read with more accuracy and more flow. We talk a lot about musical patterns in that workshop. You can grab it using the link in the description below, and I'll also link it later on the end screen. If you're liking this video, give it a thumbs up, comment below and let me know what you like about it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel because I release new content on a regular basis. And copy the link and share it with a friend or another group of piano players. And that way they too can learn how to memorize the triads of a major key. So now let's talk about some ways to memorize this pattern, because as I said, it stays the same in every single major scale. So knowing what it is means that you don't have to reinvent the wheel for every single scale. And the goal here would be to know that in a major scale, the 1 chord is major, the 2 chord is minor, the 3 chord is minor, the 4 chord is major, the 5 chord is major, the 6 chord is minor, and the 7th chord is diminished. Okay, so what we're gonna do is a couple of different little memory games with this pattern so that you can start to commit it to memory and remember it for every single scale. So the first thing I like to do is say it over and over again. So major, minor, and what I'll do is kind of connect it. Like 1 is major, 2 is minor, 3 is minor, 4 is major, 5 is major, 6 is minor, 7 is diminished, 1 is major. Okay, and you can do that as many times as you want, saying it out loud. And I like to do it backwards and forwards. So 1 is major, say it with me. 2 is minor, 3 is minor, 4 is major, 5 is major, 6 is minor, 7 is diminished, 1 is major, and then we're gonna go backwards. 1 is major, 7 is diminished, 6 is minor, 5 is major, 4 is major, 3 is minor, 2 is minor, 1 is major. Okay, that's one way you can do it. Another thing that you can do is play them with both hands so that you really start to get a feel for them in each hand. You start to recognize how they sound, and we of course say them out loud. So 1 is major, 2 is minor, say it with me, 3 is minor, 4 is major, 5 is major, 6 is minor, 7 is diminished, 1 is major. Okay, then we're gonna play the chords broken. So this might look, you could do this with both hands, you could do this one hand at a time. I'm gonna do it with just the left hand. My left hand is feeling a little left out. So 1 chord is major, 2 chord is minor, and I'm just listening to the sound and feeling it. 3 chord is minor, and I can take as much time as I want on these chords. 4 chord is major, 5 chord is major, 6 chord is minor. This one's gonna sound funky. 7th chord is diminished, back to major. Now the other thing that you can do is you can start to connect the number of the chord, so like where it is, which scale degree it's built on, the quality of the chord, so if it's major or minor, with the letter name of the chord. So in the key of G major, I have a G major chord is my 1 chord, an A minor chord is my 2 chord, a B minor chord is my 3 chord, a C major chord is my 4 chord, a D major chord is the 5 chord, an E minor chord is the 6 chord, an F sharp diminished chord is the 7 chord, and back to a G major chord is the 1 chord. And that way, not only are you memorizing the pattern of the triads for every major scale, you're also memorizing which chords or which triads exist specifically within the G major scale. And that's what's really going to help you when you open up a piece of music that's in the key of G major and you start to see all of those triads jumping out off the page because you have a context for what they are. Now, a great way to practice this is to use flashcards. And if you've been around for a while, you know that I love flashcards because they work for most learning styles, they work for every age, and they work for every level of player. You can use flashcards to mix up the order of the triads and practice finding them on the piano. This will really strengthen the relationship between your brain and your hands. So you might pull up the flashcard that says the 2 chord and say, okay, I'm in the key of G major. So in the key of G major, what's the 2 chord? It's the A minor chord. Okay, now pull up a flashcard that says the major 4 chord. Okay, so in the key of G major, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's the C major chord, right? And you can practice randomly finding these chords and triads of every single major key. I'm gonna put the link to those flashcards as a free downloadable PDF in the description so that you can download them right now and get working on these triads of every major scale so that you can remember all of them. And notice that I'm speaking out loud. I'm like narrating to myself, and that's not just for the sake of this video, that's actually how I would practice it. If I threw a flashcard up on the screen that said the diminished 7th chord, I would say, okay, in the key of G major, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that is my F sharp diminished chord. And speaking it out loud really strengthens the connection between what you're thinking about in your brain and what your hands are doing on the keys. So you're gonna wanna check the links in the description for the free flashcards that you can download right now so that you can start to memorize all of the triads of the major key, so that you can grab that free sight reading workshop where I talk a lot more about musical patterns, and for a lot of other helpful links to videos and products that I use all the time to make piano learning much easier. On the end screen here, I'm going to link that sight reading workshop and also another video that's probably going to be helpful for you where you can learn the formula to memorize every single major scale. You can check out that video and grab that sight reading workshop right here. Happy practicing.